Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, thanks for sticking around for the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm Rich Walsh. I'll be joined by Chris Mueller in a matter of moments. And there he is right there with the Hannistown shirt. I love it. It's not even Logo Thursday, but it is hockey night in Pittsburgh on a Wednesday, actually, in Philadelphia. And it's hard. It's going to be hard doing the show right now because I'm trying to watch the game. I'm trying to pay attention to you. We're going to field phone calls. I thought the Penguins could have won this game 10 times tonight. Vladar has been amazing. They've had so many opportunities in the third and in overtime and almost just won it here.
Yeah, I know that Chinikov had a high-quality chance. They've had the better of play in overtime. If you're the superstitious type, you kind of get uneasy when a team gets that many chances and doesn't cash them in overtime. I'm definitely not looking down at my phone, balanced precariously on some sort of heavy object here as I'm kind of doing the one eye up, one eye down routine. But this game was weird. It didn't for at least the first 20 to 30 minutes did not have what felt like an elimination vibe to it. Like it just, I don't know how to describe it, Rich. It seemed like almost like a sleepy game because it was a low event hockey game, but the tension has ramped up considerably here as you would expect that it would in overtime. And I'll say this much. I mean, I don't think the Penguins can really try to lean on moral victories if it does end for them tonight in Philadelphia, but the fact that they made this a series, at least as a credit to Muse and to the veterans and to Shelovs primarily and to Sidney Crosby and guys like that they didn't just kick it in down 3-0 and looking so bad. The one thing that's been sort of frustrating, even though they have a big advantage right now in shots, is for a while I didn't feel like they were able to get anything significant on Vladar. He did make some good saves, but they were having their same kind of game 1 and 2 problems where they couldn't generate much offense, and it's only started to pick up now in overtime. Yeah,
it's exactly what you said. I mean, I've seen it too many times. You have a team that just totally outplays another team for the majority of the third or overtime, and then they lose on some kind of weird goal. And that's what I'm afraid of right now because I do think the Penguins are the better team here tonight. But, if they win.
They'll be Rich, if they don't win, they'll be kicking themselves that they let a team like Philadelphia that I guess basically Philadelphia deserves credit for the way games 1 and 2 went where they imposed their will, but you kind of roll your eyes and say, well, how does a team that has proven vulnerable to the Penguins coming back in the series do so much of that through the first 2 games of this thing? That's going to be the head scratcher for me if the Penguins don't complete this comeback all the way.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting offseason if they do lose here tonight. If they win, it'll be an interesting Game 7. I think they would definitely have the momentum. I wouldn't want to be a team that was up 3-0 going into a Game 7. It would kind of remind me of the last time the Penguins were in the playoffs. You remember that Rangers series? They were up 3-1 and ended up losing 3 straight. I mean, similar. They didn't have Crosby in that one, but you could just feel.
They've definitely got the hot goaltender, though. They've got the hot goaltender in this series right now. Like, Shelovs is clearly – I know Vladar has been great. No one's allowed a goal tonight. I'm not dogging him, but he's had a kind of bumpy last 2 games to even get it to this point. In fact, I think if he had been better, this series would be over. But I do think the Penguins have the hot goalie here, so if they somehow get through this thing 1-0 and push it to a Game 7, you've got to feel good about your chances if it gets to that point with the way Shelovs has looked, because he's made some, I wouldn't say some 10-bell saves tonight, but he's made some high-quality ones to be sure.
Do you think, I mean, looking back, and I know it's you can't really look back, but do you think they should have started maybe Shelovs in Game 2 or Game 3?
I mean, Game 3 would have been the absolute earliest you could have pulled that card out of the deck and used it. I think it was probably a desperation card because, frankly, Skinner had been the clearly superior goaltender. That's one of those ones where feel and coaching feel really goes a long way, Rich. Because if you're Dan Muse, you don't want to just completely kick it in on Skinner after 2 games. You kind of assume your team is going to show up better than the Penguins did in Game 3, excuse me.
Yeah.
And then when it's backs against the wall time, yeah, that's all you can do. So.
All right, now to our Penn West University question tonight. By the way, the Pirates lost their 4th straight loss here, all to division opponents, 3 straight to St. Louis. Just scan that QR code in the right-hand corner of your screen. Are you concerned about the Pirates' losing streak? I mean, 4 straight, that's the longest this season. I didn't think the Cardinals were going to be this good, but the Pirates are still 1 game over 500, and if you would have told me at the beginning of the year they'd be 16-15, I'd feel pretty good, pretty happy at them potentially being around the 84-85 win mark. So I don't think it's time to panic right now. But you can't make this a 4-game losing streak into a 9 or 10-game losing streak.
And I don't think they will. I mean, they have the horse going tomorrow in Paul Skeens, and you just hope you get a little offense, and that should be all he needs. I think it's good that this is happening early, and I think it's good that Pirates fans are as frustrated as they are, because I think it kind of subtly suggests that they know that they're watching a pretty good baseball team overall that has some warts, but not some incurable ones, not some like fatal flaws, I guess you would say, is the way I would describe them. The bullpen game going awry because Dennis Santana, who would have been pitching at that point anyway if it had been a traditional start and then it had been, your normal relief squad coming in, that game going awry in the first one of this series really hurts. I think it's to their credit to some extent that they have battled back in both of the next 2 games from big deficits, and they come within probably 2 feet or a hotter day, honestly, or the win being slightly different, of Nick Gonzalez giving them a real big feel-good win with a walk-off 2-run homer.
That would have been nice.
Rich, but now they need to rely on Skeens to stop the bleeding right here, and then they've got to kind of make a statement after that against Cincinnati. So I do think it's an interesting time for them, but I'm not really, shaken here in faith. They had some bad at-bats at bad times tonight, but they were still getting runs across with them. So I still think it's a good team going through an early rough patch.
Yeah, you win tomorrow and then win a couple against Cincinnati. You're right back. You're right back in this. I mean, you're only 4 games out of first place.
You go 5-5 in these 10 games against the NL Central, you got 2 or 3 from Milwaukee. You salvage 1 of 4 here, and then you get 2 more against Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the worst thing in the world. You go 5-5 in what is a brutal division right now. The Pirates, I think, coming into today, would have led the NL West and led the AL West and led the AL Central. So they came into the game dead last, but that's more commentary on this being like the Thunderdome of baseball divisions early than it is anything else.
Yeah, I can't believe it. Stunning. All right, we got to take a break. Back in a couple minutes. All right, welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. This is our Xfinity tweet of the night. Look at Jared Jones is making his first rehab start down in Bradenton. First batter, 100. Yeah, he's back. That leads me to one of the questions that I have, Chris. Do you think it makes sense? I know they're going to start him out slow, but I always thought Jared Jones might project better at the back end of back end of a bullpen, like a closer. I mean, he got the stuff. If you're worried about his arm and you're worried about that injury, wouldn't it make sense to make him your closer and then push people down? Or do you like him being like a middle long reliever type guy right now until he gets into a groove?
No, I've said a couple of times, I've floated the idea, like I said it on the air sort of as a casual throwaway line yesterday to the guys. I said, is there a better chance Dennis Santana or Jared Jones is pitching the 9th inning for the Pirates if they're in September? Yeah, playing meaningful baseball games. And they both kind of poo-pooed it and said they didn't think so. And the more I've thought about it, listen, they don't have proven starting depth yet. I think we all like Bubba Chandler eventually being a big-time frontline starter. I think we all like what Ashcraft can do stuff-wise. I think you can kind of give him a bit of a pass on a rough start yesterday because of what was going on in his personal life, obviously. And then you have Skeens, and you have Keller, who I think is largely pretty reliable. So you have a true ace. You have the best pitcher in the league. You have a guy that's going to eat some innings, obviously, for you in Keller, and usually in a quality way. But then you don't really have, 3, 4, 5 guys. Majinski, is he actually a starter? So they kind of need Jared Jones, I think, to come back and try to be at least a guy who gives them 5 high-intensity innings as a starter at the back end of that rotation, because that's just inherently more valuable to you than having him pitch the end of a baseball game unless your bullpen is really in a tough spot.
Yeah, especially because you have a guy like Majinski that could come in there, and if Jared Jones can't eat up innings, especially early on, Majinski can and maybe get you to the 7th or 8th inning too. So Majinski might actually be the guy, Rich, that has the most utility for them as a closer. If for some reason Dennis Santana continues to falter and he doesn't have ultra swing and miss stuff by any stretch of the imagination, Majinski's the one guy there that was a bullpen guy anyway and really lobbied to start. But if it doesn't work out for him as a starter, I think you can realistically look at him and say, hey, you're going to the back end of the bullpen, go throw 99 or 100 miles an hour and throw a wipeout off-speed pitch. That's to me what should be the fallback plan for them. All right, the other big news today, and we'll just jump into it, well, it happened yesterday, was the Aaron Rodgers that the tag that they put on him. Do you think something they had to have let him know? Do you think this irritates him? I would imagine, knowing Aaron Rodgers and dealing with him all season, that this could maybe affect him and affect his decision. But I feel like inside the Steelers organization, at least the feeling that I get, is they're anticipating him coming back and playing for the Steelers this year.
I mean, Art Rooney said something to the effect that, yeah, we thought it would be done by now, or I thought it would be done by now, but I expect it to wrap up in the next few weeks. Okay, like whatever. That does sort of telegraph that he thinks Aaron Rodgers is coming back. Frankly, Rich, I don't care if this actually did upset Aaron Rodgers. Good. I would hope it would upset him so much that he'd say, I'm done playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going somewhere else. The only reason they did it, by the way, is because they clearly don't think it's a retirement or Steelers situation. They think he might be sitting around thinking about some other team being ready to court him if their quarterback situation falls through, and that would obviously protect the Steelers in the case of that happening. You have Drew Aller, you have Will Howard. Ben Roethlisberger went on his podcast and staked out his territory that he's more of a Will Howard backer. Like, I am very much of the belief that there's worse things in the world you could do as a franchise searching to find its next long-term starter at the most important position than letting the two young guys more or less battle it out, right? Or tell Mason Rudolph he's the week one starter and then have him on the shortest leash, in human history, and then let the other guys battle it out. Like, seriously. Because what you really have to ask yourself, I think, and I would wonder if you would agree, I'd hope you would, what you have to ask yourself on the Rodgers question is very simple. Can this guy help this team go to where they say they want to go, which is, I think, probably the second round of the playoffs, the divisional weekend? Yeah. I don't think that he can. If your answer to that question is not a pretty emphatic yes, then what do you want him back for, truly?
I mean, I don't want him back. I'd like to see what these other guys could do. The Flyers just won it, by the way. Just caught it out of the corner of my eyes. So, Penguin season is over. Instant reaction right here on the Nightly Sports Call. I didn't get to see the goal. I just saw the whole place.
Well, Rich, you're ahead of unfortunately my feed, but I just saw it now. Long shot from the point, looks like a deflection. Let's do it then, right here.
They were really giving Chilofs a lot to work with right there towards the end, kind of trying to pay attention to it. A couple golden opportunities the Flyers had before that goal. I saw that they cleared it, and then this happened.
The bottom line is this is a season that ends with a massively bitter taste for the Penguins. I mean, you give them a little bit of credit insofar as, all right, they rallied and made this a series, but they were favored going in. They were supposed to be the better team going in. And now they don't have a lot to show for it. Like, Mantha's going to be gone, and he should be gone. You have lingering questions now about, I think, various elements of this team. And so while it was an awesome regular season to get them here, the fact that they go down 3-0, try to battle back, but ultimately fall short of even getting it to a true do-or-die game for everybody involved, I don't know how you can look at it as anything but a very bitter disappointment right now. It is the rare combination of series outcome and opponent, your bitter rival, your most hated rival, that does a lot to wash away and eradicate the goodwill that they build up through 82 games.
Yeah, you got to go back to Game 1 and Game 2. It just felt like the Flyers wanted it more at the beginning there. They really came after the Penguins. They were physical. They took the Penguins out of their game. The Penguins weren't as disciplined as they should have been early on. And I think, obviously, when you lose 3 straight, it's only happened 4 times where teams have come back to win. I know the Islanders did it against the Penguins in '75, but you don't see it too often. I did think if the Penguins managed to win this game that they were going to win the series, because you take all the wind out of the sails of the Flyers coming back home on, which would that have been Saturday, but
Saturday night, yeah.
Yeah, they
lost
this game. They lost this game to me in Game 1.
Well, they lost the series in Game 1 and 2 when they didn't have any answers for what Philadelphia was throwing at them, and I think the most surprising thing, and not in a good way, about this series, given what we knew about both teams coming in, with Couturier being one of the only really decorated veterans, real tenured veterans who dates back to some old Penguins Flyers series. The bad thing about this was the Flyers with Martone and with some of their other young talent, Forster, they looked like the team that was ready to be there. They looked like the team. I have to give credit to Rick Tocchet on some fronts. They didn't play like a scared team. They didn't play like a team early in this series that was worried about, oh, I've got Crosby, we've got Malkin across from us, we've got Carlson, we've got Letang. Oh, my God, how are we going to deal with these guys? They're rolling 4 lines. They came out and imposed their will. They punched the Penguins in the nose. And the fact that it took the Penguins till Game 4 to even truly feel like they were getting into the series, I think, it's just a testament to Tocchet getting belief in his guys and Muse really getting caught flat-footed and the Penguins getting caught flat-footed for the first 2 games.
It was a long shot right inside the blue line. I don't know if it was deflected. I can't really tell. But, I mean, that's a save that you got to make. Shelov's was fantastic. I wish they would have started him early, but Skinner was the better goalie. But Vladar, he's really good. The Flyers are going to be a team to contend with here for years to come. So I guess the big question here, and we probably only have about 45 seconds to answer it, does Malkin come back next year? Is he a Penguin?
I mean, I think that he had a tough series. He had a chance to win this game in overtime off of a pretty good feed. Couldn't get quite, a clean shot off. He went, I think, in games 4 and 5, 2 straight games without a shot on goal for the first time in forever. So he wasn't as much of a factor as I think people would have liked him to be. He wanted 2 years. That was the big scuttlebutt. You give this guy 2 years. He looks like he's going to come out of this season pretty healthy. I'd give him a year. I don't think you can be emotional about this now if you're Kyle Dubas. That's my big takeaway. This team did not go on the kind of run that tells you, we've got to, we're going to make emotional decisions. I think losing in 6 to your hated rival after falling down 3-0 allows you to be pretty bloodless if you're the general manager of this team in the offseason.
Yeah, Father Time never loses. I don't know if I give him 2 years. I think they made the mistake with Chris Letang. But I don't know if there's a better second-line center for the Penguins right now. So I guess that's the dilemma that they have right now. So we got to take a break. Back in a couple minutes. All right, welcome back to Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. So we don't have a lot of time left, but you throw it at the net, good things happen. Well, it didn't happen for the Penguins. It happened for the Flyers. Late in overtime, it looked like we were going to see a second overtime, but we didn't. Cam York scores his first overtime goal with the Flyers' postseason goal. So tough one for the Penguins, and now they're going to hit the golf links with a lot of questions.
Well, what's going to bug me is the feeling I have in the back of my mind. Not that the Hurricanes probably wouldn't have done this to the Penguins, but I have a feeling they are going to absolutely flatten Philadelphia in the second round here. I do think the Canes are a very good bet to come out of the East. So if the Flyers at least put up a very good fight against them and push it to 6 or 7, fine. But I got a bad feeling that's like gentleman's sweep territory, if not an outright sweep. So.
Yeah, not to mention the toll that this series took on the Flyers for sure.
By the way, Rich, I know we got to go. What's going to be your favorite live golf memory now that the PIF funding is officially gone?
We'll talk about it tomorrow. See you later.